I love your books and your scripts and your stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's our cluttered apartment.
That's great. It
In
makes me feel
Berkeley.
at home. Let's see. So I'll do okay there.
Yeah, and then also from the Abraham Lincoln Brigade, a neighbor
Oh,
gave me.
wow. That's incredible. You know what I'm reading, Josh, that is really helpful? This little book. Have you heard about this? The People's Project?
I haven't, and I know who both of those poets are. Yeah.
It's really good. It's just a little book of essays about this moment
Uh-huh.
and various ways of fighting despair and realizing that that is what they want you to feel, powerless and despairing, etc. So I really appreciate that,
Oh, great.
you know,
I'll definitely
little
get it.
inspi Yeah, it's really good. I'm going to buy like 20 copies and give it to everybody I know.
Yeah, no, that which is, I mean, to me, this festival and being able to participate in it, and then especially you coming with your show, I mean, it's especially meaningful to me because of the times that we're in, because
Yeah.
because we're also assaulted by the fascist takeover or attempted
Yeah.
fascist takeover
Yeah.
of our country. And when I see you, do your videos, and I'm sure when I see you do your show, I mean, there's
Yeah.
so much to remind me about the joy and the hope and the kindness that people have.
Yeah. I got a letter yesterday, Josh, that my son had me read. I don't know if it's going to be posted or not, but it was just astonishing. We're involved with an Afghan family. We work with the International Rescue Committee, and we met this person, and he had 11 family members, and we helped bring them over, et cetera, blah, blah, blah. And now, of course, they're in danger again. But anyway, they drove from DC to Malvern to see my show. They had never seen a play, Josh.
Never seen a play.
Never seen a play, 24 and 30 years old, never seen a play. And they come to see mine. And the response, and it was, it ended the end of October, but this fellow just wrote me a letter through Gideon. And I'm telling you, I just couldn't even get through reading it without it so affirmed how art, how theater,
Mhm.
poetry, music brings us together. I mean, he just had these huge reactions that I never would have thought a 24-year-old Afghan refugee would have. And it just was unbelievably encouraging and moving. And you're
So
doing
good.
two shows, Josh, right?
Right.
You
Yeah,
have two different shows.
I'm doing John Tracy, who's the artistic director, asked me to do a second because I was originally just going to do my current show, which is called What Is to Be Done, Fighting
Yes,
Fascism and Depression. And
right.
speaking of, and so which is a work in progress as yours is. And but then he asked me if I could do an older show. So I have this show called Ben Franklin Unplugged that I did that was based entirely on the fact that I was shaving one day and realized that I looked like Ben Franklin.
Oh my God.
So and I did a whole show about that and him and his son and revolution and fathers and sons.
Wow, wow, wow.
Um,
And do you live in San Francisco or do you live in LA?
we live in Berkeley.
Oh, Berkeley.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sort of like
great.
the San Francisco of San Francisco, so.
Yeah, no, I lived in Berkeley. I went to San Francisco State.
You went to state. I did not know
I
that.
did. I did. I get frightened sometimes, Josh, when I was accepted into Carnegie Tech, when
Uh-huh.
it was the like big deal school. And my parents shockingly said they couldn't afford to send me. They also didn't like me going that far away. And, after a few minutes of saying, then I won't go to college, I'll just go to New York, which I was terrified to do. I ended up at San Francisco State. And sometimes I just think, I ended up in San Francisco State in 1964, Josh. The right smack dab in anti-war civil rights. If I had been in Pittsburgh in an acting school with Steve Bochco, no less, he would have been in my class. I just don't know who I would have been. I can't imagine, you know, it so formed me in
Yeah,
terms of politics. And, I
it just
remember
seems so.
coming home.
It's
Pardon
like
me?
polar opposites. It's
Yeah,
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 yeah.
totally. I mean, I was so shocked because my dad was, first generation, landed on D-Day on Normandy. He was my idol, and I thought America was the nicest, most wonderful place and only did nice things for people. And when I discovered just Vietnam, much less
Oh,
everything else, it was personal, you know? And
true.
I came raving home wearing my little Mao hat because I didn't know about that either. And raving about Vietnam. And my dad said, "Well, sweetheart, I don't know if I agree with you." And I was like, a fascist, my own. And he said,
So
"Don't
you
call
responded
me."
with nuance. That's
Yeah,
good.
exactly.
Yeah.
And he said, "Don't call me names, give me information." And I swear, Josh, I worked harder on that than anything in college. And he was so extraordinary because it made him examine where he was getting his information, you know, trying to raise a family. He was a big brother, Jewish big brother, and a Boy Scout leader. And he became quite radical. I recently found something I want to frame. It's a little piece of brown paper from Eugene McCarthy when
Oh
he was
wow.
running for president saying, "Dear Irv Grody, thank you for your..." And it was $100 shots, which was a fortune then for my dad.
Well, that's amazing. Well, I could even in the way you described his response to you calling him a fascist, it
Yeah,
just was such a thoughtful response.
I know.
It's not
He was
someone
a very,
who's just going to be stuck in one one side or another.
no,
Yeah.
he also, and I always tell people this, and it's another thing that's wrong with our present country and technology. My dad had a 30-year correspondence with his senator, Al Cranston.
Wow.
And Josh, he had no money. It wasn't like, well, he's going to give hundreds of thousands. So they exchanged like page and a half correspondences about policy.
That's fantastic.
I mean, and I've written a lot of letters. I'm a pretty good letter writer, Josh. I haven't heard shit. I'm
Yeah.
really pissed. You know who I heard from? I heard from Harry Dunn, the big, tall policeman that was part of the Capitol
Oh yeah,
disaster
yeah. One of the
and who's
heroes. Yeah.
running and who's running for office.
Yeah.
I wrote to him and I got a very nice note back. But I've written to Jamie Raskin, I've written, you know,
Well, if I ever meet
I
Jamie
don't think they
Raskin, I'll
get
make a
them.
piece of my mind about that. That's unconscionable.
I think people are so overwhelmed. I'm sure you know, I sometimes think my inbox is just the size of my
Uh,
phone.
uh,
So I forget and just I could spend hours deleting shit, you know. So anyway.
well, I hope you don't want to delete this conversation when we're done because I'm enjoying.
I, Josh, you don't know the Weintraubs, do you? David Weintraub and Debbie and Jimmy Krupnick. No, I always think everybody
Oh,
in Berkeley, they're
oh,
Oakland
they're in
cousins.
Berkeley.
They're in Oakland.
Oh, in Oakland. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
keep a lookout for them. And so,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. So tell me, is this your first one person show?
Is it my first one-person show?
Yeah,
No,
the
no.
unexpected third.
It's
Yeah.
my third.
So it's your
It's
unexpected third solo show.
third show. Yeah, I hadn't even realized that, Josh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, my first was very long time ago when I had become a mother of two. And I couldn't believe that somebody asked me, "Oh, are you working now or just staying home having fun?"
Oh my God.
Yeah. And so I went to Joe Papp, who was a mentor, and I had done several plays there. And this Josh has kept me from putting my hands around my own neck over the years of, great um, dearth theatrically. I went to Joe and I said, "I want to answer that question theatrically." And Joe Papp said to me, "If you write it, I'll produce it." And I hadn't written anything, Josh. I mean, I'd
Wow.
written, private essay and I don't, and I said, "Joe, I need a place to write. I can't write at home." And he gave me a desk and a Selectrix at the Public Theater. I told him about the idea when Gideon was 6 months old. I started writing it when he was 18 months old, and it was on its feet at the Public Theater when he was 4. I played my 3-year-old, my 7-year-old, and me.
Uh-huh.
And
Amazing.
what was so great too, Josh, was the first run through, and this is with Timmy Near, my director now. And the first run was 2.5 hours without intermission. I mean, just in rehearsal. And Joe said, "Can you put him to bed without dinner?" And I said, "Joe, what kind of a mother would I be?" And he said, "Well, we've sat through breakfast and lunch." Dinner went from 4 pages to yabba dabba dabba, thanks for the grubba, yay food, and onward. And then Josh, it was so amazing at the very first preview. I was terrified out of my mind. I thought this was collaborative insanity. I am a responder. I'm an ensemble player. I like working off people. I'm not a solo person. And I literally couldn't breathe. And Joe said, "It's going to be great. It's going to be great. But what was the problem with the breathing?" And I said,
Ah.
"Well, Joe, I couldn't breathe. Why? I'm not a solo person. I'm not supposed to be by myself out there." And he said, "You're not by yourself. You're with Gideon and you're with Isaac."
Mm.
And from then on, for 10 years, Josh, before I went out, I said, "Are you ready?" "Yes, I'm ready." "Are you ready?" "Oh, yes, I'm ready." And I just took their hands and went out there. And I just love that so much, you know?
Cool.
Can you imagine though? I mean, whenever I've met some young theater person that's never heard of fucking Joe Papp, which strikes me as unconscionable if you're in New York theater or any kind of theater,
It was
I
the
just
public
remember that
was it
moment.
was the Grail. I mean, my dad and I went there, and of course to the Delacorte Theater all the time for my
Right.
mom. My dad.
Did you grow up here?
I grew up in Manhattan. Yeah, my mom was in Washington Heights, and my dad was on the Lower East Side, and so
Wow.
yeah, so Joe Papp in the Public Theater is just a huge inspiration for me.
Yeah. I asked Gail, his wife, and she didn't remember. I said, "How the hell did Joe know I was a political person?"
Mm.
Because I was doing Moon Children in Florida, and he asked me to come to Washington, D.C. to lobby senators about Cambodia, about
Oh,
bombings in Cambodia.
wow. Wow. You just picked up
Yeah.
on it.
You know, I honestly, I was a play reader, they had unsolicited plays then, and you would read a play that Joe knew, and then you'd write up a little thing, and it didn't matter if you agreed or not, but if you were sort of respectful, you were welcomed. And Bill Finn and I were welcomed the same day into the play readers, and went in and sat and talked with Joe. And I think I had a crazy fit about Miss Margarita's Way with Estelle. That was a
Mm.
big deal hit, and I think I found it offensive in some stupid way that I would probably not find now about women, you know.
Mm.
I mean, I wrote some furious letter. I honestly don't know, but we were with him, and he was one of the first people I told I was marrying Mandy. I went
Oh.
running, I went running up into his office and I said, "Joe, I'm marrying Mandy." And he looked at me and he said, "He's a true radical." And we've always laughed about what kind of radical human being is it, what it turned out to be.
Mhm.
I mean, he missed the 60s because he's 6 years younger. But
Right.
they were very, so that was my first show. And then I did one 10 years later called Falling Apart Together, where I played every member of my family. And it was about, everybody having their great moments and then everybody having a catastrophe. But instead of parting in folding that story into the greater whole,
Mhm.
and then this one.
And this one, how did this one gestate? What was the inspiration for it? Or was there a
I
particular
think
inspiration?
well, one, my family was really tired of me portraying them, especially my younger sons, and I used their names. That was a big mistake. So honestly, Josh, I think I've been pissed off about how age is seen in this culture since I was 50, so a long time.
Yeah.
I never saw examples in advertisements or in the culture of, "Oh, wow, I want to grow up to be like her." The
Mm.
English do it, you know. I mean, they
Yeah.
they really do. My son Gideon and I were watching. Have you seen that documentary, Dames at Tea, with
No.
Maggie Smith and Judi Dench and Eileen? Oh God, Eileen something and somebody else. Four actresses.
Yeah.
Um,
I've
and I
seen
saw,
stills from it, and I should see it.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's worth watching. But I was watching it during the pandemic with my younger son, and I'm sobbing. And he's looking at me. He said, "What is going on?" I said, "That's what I thought I would be. I thought I would have that life, where
Mm.
you're in rep with each other and you do a million plays together and an occasional film and you raise your kids together." And that's sort
Yeah.
of what I thought would happen. So I think I was just furious that anybody older was disregarded, and especially as a female, if
Mhm.
you supposedly lost your power, your seductive agency. And I just was angry about it. And I'd been thinking about it for a while. Gideon did a very short, like 3-minute film. And it's weird now, Josh, because it was probably 8 years ago. I'm a raving lunatic in that film and a little bit ignorant, a little bit ignorant about the real challenges. I mean, for a long time, I have felt very ageless. I've been very lucky, you
Mhm.
know, relatively with health. And um, I just felt it was all bullshit, this aging thing. It's your attitude, it's how you care for yourself. I say that in the play. And yeah, genetics and the luck, but really, and actually, I'm working on making this version a part of it, not quite so lighthearted about the challenge.
Mhm.
Um, I'm surrounded by loss, you know. I mean, every day I either lose somebody that was a friend in the New York Times. I go to bed reading the obituaries to see did I miss somebody, you know. I've had extremely close people and members of my family go in the last few years. The whole world that it seems like it's dying, you know. And so the fight to right the world and the fight to move toward the light, even if you're a little hunchy, you know, is a little when Tim and I first did this 3 years ago, I just felt totally ageless, I felt I liked I looked better than ever. I liked everything. It was funny, Josh, it was just coming out of the pandemic because it was 22 when we first did it. I was in Berkeley.
Mhm.
I was at the ground floor.
Oh yeah.
And it was a great program that this woman, Madeline, I forget her last name, started.
Yeah.
She's
I've
gone.
done the ground floor too. It's
I
fantastic.
mean, I just couldn't get over it, Josh, that they pay for you to go out there. They put you up in a beautiful studio. It was so funny. Timmy and I were the only people that walked the 2.5 miles to work every day. All these 30-year-olds are getting in the van, and we're going, guys, use it or lose it.
Yeah, yeah.
But I really did feel, I think, quite a little bit arrogant about the whole process. And these last 3 years have knocked me for a loop between the world and personal loss, and I became a grandmother.
Oh, Mazel Tov.
And thank you. And
Oh.
I mean, even saying that still, I sort of part of me says it to you, Josh, and then I go, me?
Yeah.
Um, but just I became obsessed with how long I'll live for them. you
Mhm.
know, how long I'll be able to see them. And I was very involved with their care. Well, the first one is just turned 4, and my son and daughter-in-law moved to our property,
Yeah.
and they had the baby, and they were back and forth till he was about 1. And then I was asked my availability for childcare, and I was like, I totally want to be there. I want to have regular, I'm not retired.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
what I didn't say, Josh, because I didn't feel it then was, do you know how old I am? I don't like those things. I don't like the reality of it, but I took care of my 4-year-old and my 17-month-old from 8 in the morning until 7 a week ago. We, and
Wow.
let me tell you, Josh, I could not move after that. And, you know,
Yeah.
it's just such a strange thing. You don't feel, I know this as young as I'm ever going to be, you
Mm.
know, but the physical sense memory of what this same body could do,
Mhm.
you know. I mean, Mandy and I were talking about that because he did a couple of concerts. this week in New York, and he's been flying all over the place. I mean, singing in Oklahoma, Arkansas, going to Vancouver for a new job, and we were talking because I find him very impressive, almost more impressive with a big white beard at 72 than when he was like a rocket at 25. Just,
Mhm.
do you need to be taken to the hospital after seeing him for 2.5 hours? Do you want to leave him wanting a little more? That was my thing. And it was so moving to me, the trajectory, but we were both talking last night until 4 in the morning. So I'm a little about all the things you know now and expand your understanding of being human, and then what you can't do. You don't even realize it because I say in the play to think of the changes as adaptations, not surrender.
Yeah.
And, but that's an acknowledgement,
Mhm.
Um, and I'm actually, uh, you know, I've been off the play for 3 months and I'm very nervous that I'm not as in good a shape as when I did it for, a couple months in Malvern. And
The workout,
I'm on
the
a
solo show.
weight training regime and,
Mhm.
and Tim has a new hip. I mean, it's
Uh-huh.
so the genesis of this was just also the genesis. It's funny because I was looking at my application for ground floor and it turned a little different. It was the different relationship with grown children.
Mhm.
I mean, when they start parenting you,
Mhm.
I don't know if you have kids or not, Josh,
Yeah,
but
I have a 28-year-old, and it's there's a balance there.
yeah. Well, wait, just wait. I mean, when people ask me how old my kids are, I'm like, it takes me, I pause for a minute
Mm.
because I can't believe it. I cannot believe I have 39 and 43-year-old children.
Yeah.
It's time. It's another thing I want to make clearer, expand the whole idea of time. They talk about it being a construct. I never quite get what that means, but we make up time and we divide it in a way that makes us have a structure for living,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
I mean, the Yamamani Indians, whatever, in the Amazon, I'm sure it's a different idea of a day that has more to do with the sun and the moon and the stars. It's not the clock, but it's staggering how slow time sometimes seems to go, how fast it goes. That whole thing when you're a kid, it goes forever, right? And now I cannot believe my grandson is 4. He was
Yeah.
just born in an ice storm. There was a whole, and really,
Yeah. It is that
and
it's that holding on to change and dealing with the change, which
yeah,
involves loss and grief, and it also involves amazing birth and renewal, and having to keep those things in balance. And I'm finding, myself in my own aging process, that sometimes sort of the losses weigh on me more, especially in these
yeah,
sort of political times where
yeah,
there's so many losses and so much hardship.
right.
But it's so important to have the focus also on just what is uniquely and miraculously ours to have in the time that we have, right?
That's right. That's right. And to celebrate, I mean, I really do think it's necessary to celebrate being human. Like I want to make t-shirts, fully human, not one chip, you know, never
Yeah.
had an affair with a chatbot lover, never will. I met with a young friend for dinner the other night who's a beautiful writer, set designer, artist. He always gets so pissed off at me, Josh, for my negativity about AI, you know? And it's like, and it was an interesting example. He's black, and he said, "Here, let me tell you, you probably don't use Uber." I said, "No, I hate Uber." I use my old yellow cabs or my feet. And he said, "Well, let me tell you what Uber did for me. I spent all my 20s and 30s waving for cabs, and they would pass me by. They can't do
Yeah.
that now. I just put in a number. They don't know what color I am." Now, had I ever thought of that, Josh? No, because I didn't need to, right?
Yeah.
But that's a whole different thing than um, then the idiosyncratic nature, the messiness of our humanity, the friction,
Mhm.
that is sort of being smoothed out from our faces. I mean, I get so creeped out by friends that are doing shit. I mean, I saw a friend the other day who's very political, wonderful. I did a play with her in 2017 and was so biased because she was a beautiful blonde and my old prejudices, and she's very smart and lovely, but she's doing shit, Josh.
Mhm.
She's, oh, take that out, Josh. I just realized she
I'm
sees
sorry,
this.
what?
I just realized that she shouldn't see this interview, but she won't. That's all right.
Okay.
Anyway,
You'll,
it's just, I just feel we have to be in charge of the machine. And right now, the machine's been in charge of us. That's what I was saying when Timmy and I first did the show. It was 22. We were still in pandemic land. We were just coming out of it. Everybody was still wearing masks in the theater. She was mad. I forgot to wear a mask after the show in the talkbacks.
oh,
And we were all
yeah.
people. When I did this at first, Josh, it was like a friggin' stand-up. Which is not what I am, but Timmy was like, people were so happy to be together.
Yeah.
And I had that 75-year-old arrogance of, you know, and I was just like, it was like a funny show. And in the last, you know, 23, 24, 25, it's still a lot of laughter, but I think it's balanced by um, the, what do you call, there's a word I'm thinking of, Josh, which this is the part I hate. And,
Yeah, I have it too. I have the
pardon
same
me,
problem. This is so.
and you're younger. It is that just the knowledge of the brevity of it all and the struggle and the Buddhist thing about this is what we got this moment. We're not in charge, you know?
Mhm.
I mean, always that thing. I'm a big catastrophizer. I'm working on it in a therapeutic situation. Just that illusion that if you imagine the catastrophe you're most afraid of, it won't happen. It's akin a horror version.
Oh yeah,
You
oh,
know, it's like,
absolutely. No,
yeah,
it's how I live
yeah,
my life. But yes, yes,
yeah, you know.
yeah. But it's but everyone is. I feel with audiences and working in my own performing lately, uh, that people are all grappling with both of those sides. They're grappling with and it this the sides of the temporal nature, the temporary nature of things, and also of the
Yeah.
lack of control that we have. Because
Right,
right now, democracy, we're supposed to be controlling, we're the people, and for the most part, we're not.
right.
And so we're having to reassert that power and also to have the hope that we will regain it. You know,
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
we yeah.
Do you are you connected to Jessica Craven's Substack called
Oh, I love
Chopwood
it.
Carey?
Yeah, chop wood, carry water.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes she's out of her mind in a way that I'm like, okay, Jessica, I can't deal with this right now, you know. But what I find so useful is her list of good things that happen.
Yes,
Hello, another god awful week, but the New
yeah,
York fucking Times is not publishing that. I am so angry at the way they've normalized this situation, Josh. They trash AOC, they normalize the situation, they're critical of Mondami. I'm just kind of out of my mind, but I also love some of their opinion people, you know,
yeah. Jamel
and
Bowie is
huh?
fantastic. Jamel
Oh,
Bowie,
yes, isn't he great?
yeah, he's awesome.
It was very funny, Josh. We got an email inviting us to their Valentine's Day party at the Times.
Wow.
Okay. This woman named Sarah Wildman. Have you read her pieces on her daughter Orly? She lost her to cancer at 14. They're very profoundly written and unusual, even though there's a grief industry now, but they're most unusual. And I had sent a piece she just written to a cousin whose 32-year-old son died of esophageal cancer. right before he was getting married, right before he was becoming a rock star. I mean, you know, doesn't matter. It's how many people in Gaza, could have been anything. I mean, you know. Anyway, Josh, she sends me an invitation to come to this office party. Very bizarre. And I wrote her and I said, Sarah, it sounds lovely. I'd love to come. I can't speak for Mandy or my son, but it's very strange because just yesterday I'd sent your article to
Oh
my
yeah.
cousin. Josh, I was so delusional. I imagined Jamie Buelli and a few of those people in a little office with maybe 20, 30 invited guests having a little cheese and crackers. Mandy at first wasn't going to come. Then he said, okay, I'll come with you. Oh my God, what an idiot I was. I mean, it's a massive office party. There were, 80 people in a room. There's Ezra, there's so and so. It's not an intimate setting that I have a delusion. But Josh, I'm at the crepe table trying to deal with this and, I turn to my right and there is Masha Gessen. And I say, "Oh my God, I cannot believe I'm standing next to you. Thank you for your brilliance. Thank you for terrifying me out of my mind. Thank you for sometimes encouraging me. Thank you for your knowledge." And Masha Gessen says to me, Josh, it's one of the most bizarre things in my life. Masha says, "Thank me, thank you. I can't believe I'm meeting you. My wife is going to be so upset that she didn't come because," and I honestly, Josh, this is not my area. This is not what I'm used to. I'm like, Masha Gessen, your big, huge brain is
Mm,
is paying attention to what we're, you know, it's utterly bizarre. But that's part of me feeling if a young person can be encouraged by the fact that a white-haired person doesn't make them terrified of becoming one themselves, do you know?
yeah.
Then I'm
Yeah.
willing to do this. There's such a need for community. There's such a need for connection. There's such a need for people that don't all look alike, I think, or quote authenticity. That authenticity is like seems to be a rare thing as opposed to just what all humans are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then I'm going to do this. A 36-year-old woman in Malvern came up to me and she said, after the show, Kathryn, it's my birthday, and the gift you gave me is you made growing old look exciting. I didn't say, Josh, well, I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
But,
so there's certain aspects that are less exciting. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. But
yeah.
that comes with the territory. It's,
Josh, I knew your name when you wrote to me. How long have you been doing
since
these things?
'89, I started doing monologues, and then my first and one and only off Broadway thing was Red Diaper Baby, about my communist childhood in New
Yes,
York.
that's where I know you from, Josh.
I did that at Second
That's the
Stage in
show.
'92.
Yeah,
Yeah. So, and then since then, I've done a whole bunch of things, but that was sort of my
yeah,
foundational piece.
yeah,
So I have been
yeah.
around for a while. Yeah.
Yeah, one of my best friends was the daughter of a guy named Dave Jenkins, who was the longshoreman union leader in San Francisco with Harry Bridges, was it?
Harry
I think.
Bridges, Harry,
And I
legendary.
was I was so impressed because, all these friends, they had all kinds of friends of different ethnicities and real art on the wall, and they got washed down steps by the FBI. I
Yeah, yeah.
just found that very exotic, and I know the experience of it was a little less so,
Yeah,
actually, but
yeah. For me, it was delightful because I was sort of raised as if we were like the communists were this big deal from like the 30s or 40s, except it was the 60s and 70s. So no one really cared. No one really
yeah.
cared or took much notice that my father thought I was going to lead the revolution. That
Oh,
no one,
wow. A lot of
no,
pressure, a lot of pressure, Josh.
it's a little bit of I'm working through it therapeutically as well, but
Yeah.
mostly in
Yeah.
my work. And I have to say too, just in terms of what you and Mandy, your presence, your videos, uh, especially in just in this horrible period that we're still in. But there's
Yeah.
something that I know that for my wife and for me as well is just you've been so important to us. In in making us feel like, oh, there are these wonderful people there who feel the way we feel and can articulate it so well and are filled with love. And um,
Thanks, Josh.
no, it just
Thank you.
it means the world. It means the world to us, and um, the fact that I can have like this little involvement with you. I mean, I can't believe that this is really. I mean, to your I wrote to your podcast email, I believe.
Is
I
that
think
what it was?
I was looking at how do I reach Kathryn. It's like I was like I don't know, and I was telling John, the John Chasey, the artistic director. I said, well, I really want to try to reach the people I really want to reach, even if there's no chance, you know.
Oh my
And then
God,
I
Josh.
just sort of sent that into the ether,
Yeah,
and then John mentioned that he knew Timmy, and also
right.
that his wife was your set designer. So
Unbelievable synergy.
yeah, so it was like, wait, this maybe could possibly happen. Like I couldn't believe it. It's like because I've only just been a performer. I've never like curated and stuff, but I never thought I like
Right.
could curate this well. That I could
Well,
bring.
it's so funny. And I am still like, the fact that that was like an event for you, just, I mean, I don't have a freaking agent, Josh,
Mm,
mine died years ago. And I was like, I've just been doing my own thing, you know,
sure.
and, and it's really lucky, Josh, because, you know, we're doing the New York Theater Workshop Solo Festival in spring, but they were giving us 2 days to rehearse. And
Wow.
we have to reconfigure it because my set was a main character and I
Mm,
don't have it. So if John and you had not reached out, I'd be, begging for dollars for rehearsal space somewhere while Timmy and I could figure out how to do this differently, you know.
no,
Uh,
it's really I mean, it really works out for us when. So that sort of the audience will have a sense of it. So, what will you be doing when you come here? Like, what is you'll be doing a rehearsing? You'll be.
we're going to be rehearsing and um, restaging because the set was sort of the interior of my mind. And the pages, I use the pages as a sort of metaphor of how your life changes and comes and goes and the chaos of it all. And also because I was initially afraid I wouldn't know it, even though I do. But it's also weird, Josh, because that's my action in the play is getting these different pieces of paper, and they were all tucked away and hidden in these different places in the set. And now we don't have that. So we're going to be restaging it and rethinking how we share the metaphor that this is, I say in the beginning, welcome to my mind. Do you know?
Mm,
Which changes direction depending on the hour, which is why I've used paper and pencil to keep track of the meanderings of my mind.
yeah,
And
yeah.
tonight I'll be sharing with you the 58th version, literally, and then I'm going to drop this huge thing of papers, and we'll be on to our 61st, depending on what happens here. And, it's interesting too. Things are moving so fast, Josh. I was talking to my son yesterday, and I have to talk to Timmy. The show opens with an old um, voicemail recording that I still have on my phone, which I'm actually probably going to change today. Because it was from 2016
Mm,
and things have gotten a lot darker. It says, well, my optimism is a little frayed, but
mm,
I'm still using, joy and joy and something else, joy and beauty as tools of resistance to this moment. And Gid said to me yesterday, that might be a little light for what's happening right now. I mean, I don't know if it's enough to say, fascists like ice out in the open, or if I need to do something a little more specific, now. I don't know. We'll see. But we're going to be using that. We're going to be working on little tushies off to figure out how to tell the story physically differently a little bit.
yeah, and Nina Ball will be there. So
Yes, thank God. She's building in the big set, Josh. I have a big tree, and had a hole in it, and it was the set was one of my very favorite things ever. I went from, oh my God, a set, does this show deserve a set? Is it going to overwhelm it? To how am I going to do this without my set? You
Yeah.
know, and I've stored it, but
Yeah.
it's too expensive to
Yeah.
haul. So
Sure.
we're working with Nina on building a portable tree and something that could represent paper and a stack of scripts, and hopefully we'll hopefully we'll feel good about it by the
I think you'll come up with
23rd of
something
March.
really ingenious and playful that works pragmatically for you.
We're
Cool.
going to have our regular furniture that we have here in New York, and our props, and this will be, just stuff that we pull um, and you know, I hope I can do it, Josh. 3 months is
Yeah.
a long time. It's funny. I felt just loved. I loved the response. There were 80 people at talkbacks in Malvern. They would
Oh, that's
say
great.
80.
Yeah.
Young people, old people, people needed to talk about this process.
Hmm.
And so I feel it's an offering, which feels good to me, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Well, it is, and it's yeah. People need it. One of the, one of the things I've noticed when Sarah and I have been going out to protests, my wife,
Yeah,
there's like in Berkeley, here in Berkeley, that sometimes people talk about, oh, it's all you old people, because we do in Berkeley especially,
yeah,
skew pretty old in our thing, and to me, I see these people every week or sometimes more frequently at these protests, and
right.
it's just such a beautiful thing to be part of this movement with them and to know all the experiences that they've had and I've had, growing from my parents bringing me to the Vietnam War protests on
Yeah.
forward, and still doing it, like going out and doing it and not curling up. I mean, which is
And not
essentially
curling
my
up
entire
and
challenge personally is not to curl up.
not to curl up, not to be one of those sawbugs. I
Yeah.
mean, I think I also am so impressed, sometimes you see 10 people with long white ponytails, screaming at ICE, get out of here. I mean, it's
Yeah.
brave fucking shit, and it's our generation. And I want to encourage young people. We were so lucky, Josh. I mean, I say this in the show that we stopped a war.
Mhm.
We stopped a war. We started civil rights. We did all these radical things.
Yeah.
And, you know, um, oh my God, what is his name? That wrote Bill McKibben,
Yeah.
who wrote The End of Nature. He has this organization. I don't think it's very impactful right now,
Third
called
act.
The Third Act. Yeah. I went on one of their first marches, Josh, and it was one of those things where you go, well, this is why the left is so ineffective. I mean, you know, bad art doesn't help. There was a group of people, pretending to be trees dying in the forest. I mean, it was, and 20 people going over to Chase Bank and tearing up our cards, our Chase Bank cards. I can't tear. I can't, there is no bank that is a moral bank, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can't be with a bank that does real good. I can only be with one that pretends to do good. Um, and it just was like, we just have to get smarter, and I think we are. There's so many. I am so impressed with Indivisible and Swing Left and Force Multiplier and the Buddy Group. And, it's like that book, Swimmy. Remember that book, Swimmy, by an Italian, Leo Leonte? The book's called Swimmy, where there's all these little fish and they're getting gobbled up by all these big fish. And then
Oh,
they
I
get the
think I can
idea
visualize it. Yeah.
to be together, right? And
Right.
they
Right.
all swim together and they're the biggest fish in the ocean. And I guess I still believe that. I mean, it's going to be a really hard time, and I might not see the pendulum swing back, but I think it's going to swing back with a friggin' vengeance, starting with like Mondami, starting with Minneapolis people,
Minneapolis, just I mean, ordinary people
ordinary people doing
organizing
extraordinary. Yeah,
in the most disciplined way, just
yeah.
incredible and winning.
And I really believe that most people, Josh, I don't believe most people like to see viciousness. I don't know what happened to Steve Miller when he was young,
Oh
or
yeah,
Pete Hegseth, or Russell Vogt. They're like some, I mean, combo machine human. Some damage was done that was so profound, do you know, that, and we're all suffering from it. And, the fact that Bad Bunny was at the Super Bowl, right? There you have Bad Bunny at the
yeah,
most white, masculine, you know, football, singing in Spanish about colonialism, and with a
yeah,
big sign that says, the only thing more powerful than hate is love, everybody, right? And at the same time, you have this people being picked up for walking down the street being brown.
yeah,
Or let us, I mean, Renee Good and Alex Preddy, you know,
yeah.
right?
Just
Hey,
for
dude,
being.
I'm not mad. Fucking bitch, boom. Okay, where are we? I must say, Josh, law, where's the law? Chris Murphy seems to be alone in screaming out sometimes in our Congress. I mean, I don't quite understand. I know we don't have power in the voting, but we have power in articulating outrage and pushback. And it feels so muted to me from Congress right now.
Oh, absolutely. It's so frustrating. It's like,
So frustrating.
my only hope is that they'll follow the people that the that that
Yeah.
their calculus changes of what it is that they can get away with,
Yeah.
you know.
Exactly.
But
Didn't you love Jessica when we had those last elections? She was like giddy. She was like, I know we had to have lost somewhere, but I can't
yeah,
find one place.
yeah, yeah,
The electronics company board person in Missouri, we won,
yeah, yes,
and
yes, yes.
I think that's just what we have got to put all our efforts toward these elections.
Oh, absolutely. No, I get my indivisible report every week
Yeah,
from those two, and yeah,
yeah,
it's I don't know. It is. I think you really articulated, but it is really it's a time both where we're really oppressed, we're really scared, justifiably terrified. There are terrifying
yeah,
things, existentially terrifying things facing the earth and facing
right.
democracy, and facing,
Yeah,
and yet there's also so much. There are so many signs of beauty and of love and of the organized love that democracy can be,
that's right.
asserting itself.
And also all sorts of language that people wouldn't understand before. Capitalist extraction. I never grew up hearing the word extraction.
Mhm.
A real, the critique. You know, a, a woman was talking on some podcast, sadly I don't remember, but it never occurred to me that the idea of individual power was a propaganda tool, Josh. It just never occurred to me. So that all these people that have been screwed by the system, no job, no education, no health care, no teeth, right? And an fentanyl epidemic, right? But they're in the best country in the world. And it's up to them. And if they haven't made $1 million, which has been the goal since fucking Reagan, then you have to blame somebody, that black president, you know, whatever, but I never thought of that as a tool to keep people from working together. And I think that is really crumbling, do you
Yeah.
know? And I know how good it feels to be together. And I mean, all these ideas, and Mondami, I mean, he didn't expect to win, Josh. I mean, they said, they thought maybe he'd squeak by, but they wouldn't know that night, and maybe not even in the morning. And when those results started coming in, I mean, I don't envy this poor young guy, Josh. He's probably got the worst job in the world,
Oh,
you
it's
know.
so hard. Under attack from
But
so many awful people.
awful. But I mean, when I saw him, it was sort of embarrassing when I first met him. I just threw my arms around him and I said, I don't know if it's inappropriate, but I got to thank you. I never thought in my lifetime I'd be seeing anybody running for office that extolled the beauty of Eugene V. Debs.
Yes. No, that was the thing where he started off quoting Eugene B. Debs. It's like if my father were alive to see this.
Oh my God, Josh, I know mine too. Well, my dad, I mean, I say in the show, my dad thought Barry Goldwater was as bad as it could get.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he would just my dad really believed in a participatory citizenry that was educated and would write to their senators,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, right.
And this reactiveness that I know it's a virus that I have too from this technology, where you just have a reaction, you have a reaction, no nuance, no complexity. I have one MAGA friend. That says
Mm,
a lot, but we're on this newsletter called Tangled, which is a journalist named Isaac Saul, who just couldn't stand these huge divides, so he attempts.
mm,
This is what the right is saying on this. This is what the left is saying on this. These are the facts as I see them. And
mm.
it's a lot of data that you have to sort of get through. And here's where, and I mean, our side has made so many identity politics, not seeing the bigger picture, Josh. I just get that's what really makes me despondent sometimes, where we're so afraid of not being center and pleasing all these little individual things, and I'm like, democracy and the planet.
Yeah,
Let's just
that's
get it together.
yeah, yeah, that's it. Well, and that's what's so beautiful and brilliant about No Kings. It's No Kings. You're like you don't have to be an anarcho-syndicalist to believe that there shouldn't be kings. Like we
Yeah,
almost all of us believe there should be no kings, and
that's
so
right.
we're
That's right.
united. We believe there should be no kings, and we believe that the earth should flourish. And that's
Really.
that we're joined in that. You know.
And the delusion. I mean, we really have somebody. The fact that poor Biden, that was a mistake on our parts in a million ways. I mean, we can't get into that, but the fact that he was pilloried and what this man is saying, you know, and nobody, his lack of language, his lack of knowledge, I'm, it's like it's normal, Josh. I
Yeah.
mean, Mandy in one concert is singing the King's New Clothes, the emperor.
Mm,
He's all together naked, and it's just it's like, couldn't be more current, you
for
know.
sure. Yeah. Yeah. Um, um,
There's no shame, Josh. I want to bring back shame. You know, that most profound thing when Joe Welsh, I think, in the McCarthy,
At
hearing,
long last, have you no shame?
have you no shame, sir, at long last. We don't. We have none.
Well,
Anybody
it's
can say anything or do anything horrible, and I don't understand that.
seems to be sort of a superpower or something. It's like if you think that shame is uh, this natural limiter on
Yeah,
doing bad things because you'd be ashamed of doing them, but then you have people who are not ashamed of doing. In fact, they're proud of doing bad things. They're proud of being
exactly.
cruel. They're proud of being
That's right.
stupid. Really.
Yeah,
And
I
so
know.
what do you do with that? You can't
I
shame
don't know.
them because
I because there isn't any. I don't
it
know.
presumes that yeah, that you have a common ground of morality.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's the scary thing, Josh. It's really, really scary.
Well,
I'm gonna see both your shows, which I'm really looking
oh,
forward to.
fantastic. Oh, that's great.
I mean,
It's so great. And I'll see
I
both
really do.
performances of your show, which is also
Well,
very excited.
you
Is
said that my heart accelerated is how I feel. I mean, this is my script, Josh, which is just like, it's not even legible, readable, whatever. I'm like, that's what I'm going to be doing today.
but it's also, I mean, I know as an audience member, as a performer, but it's really exciting to be part of the artist process as well, you know?
Yeah.
And so that's also really exciting to me that you and your collaborators are going to be working it out in
Yeah.
front of us, you know, and
Of
that and
course, that means taking the risk of falling on your face, Josh.
yes, yes, it's
Excuse me, everyone. We thought this would work, but it does not,
no,
clearly. Can we
it's
do that? Yeah.
no, I developed my shows through improvisations, and so I have like
Oh,
all of these
wow.
disclaimers about it. No, don't worry. That last 10 minutes definitely won't be allowed in the show by my director. Don't worry about it. You just erase it
Have
from the
you worked
record. But
have you worked with the same director for a long time?
I worked with several different directors. I worked in for Red Diaper Baby years ago with Josh Mastel with Zero's
That's
son.
where I knew this. That's where I knew you from. I
Yeah.
knew I knew.
so mostly, so we were there to rehearse my show, but I just wanted him to tell me stories about Zero Mostel, who is my hero. So, um,
Right.
and then I worked with this wonderful guy David Dower for a number of years, but then he was unavailable, and so now for the first time I'm working with a new director collaborator who is John Tracy, who is the
Sure.
artistic director of the Marin Shakespeare Festival and Jeanne
Yeah.
Paul's husband,
Yeah. Yeah.
and we just started working together last week. So
Wow.
we're also in this process because I've done months of improvisations, and now I'm just starting to like look at what we have. You showed me your script. You're like, I was like envious. You have a script. It's like, oh my God, you have something you can write on.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Well,
it's
it's so funny because when we went from Berkeley to Rosendale, this little theater upstate New York, there was like 12 days in between where Tim came and we, worked on. And I had each script that I printed out, I've like ruined forests worth of paper, It's like 32nd draft, you know, 38th draft. And Kitty would say, Mom, why are you doing that? I mean, isn't that just what writers do? And I said, because I'm so friggin' proud of myself, you
yeah,
know?
yeah,
I mean, this was the most collaborative that Timmy and I um, have worked on. The first play, I told her I wanted to answer that question theatrically to Joe, right? And
right,
she
right.
just, I remember, was sort of imperious as we were walking down Broadway and said, Don't tell me about it, Kath, just write it, you
Yeah,
know? And it's so funny when you look at the first notes of that, nothing to do with what we actually got up there. And I'm kind of afraid, Josh, to even go back and look at my 40 drafts of this. We cut out things, we put in things. Um, it is, it has a beginning, middle, and end, but it didn't in the beginning at all,
sure.
you
Yeah.
know? And I was upset when some producer came to Malvern and they missed the first 20 minutes, which is where I posit the question that I answer at the end of the play. And I friggin' killed myself to have that arc,
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah.
you missed the opening question. Onward to what?
Yeah. Yeah.
Onward to what? And I answer it, which and I don't think that way at all.
Mhm.
But I'm trying not to get sort of lost in the weeds of looking back. I just want to look at what is still relevant now for me personally and in the world. And, you know, and we'll see, Josh. I want to know from you if you think my opening vocal recording is a little bit light given the circumstances right now. So we'll see.
Yeah.
I haven't even mentioned that to Tim. I'm going to be talking to her today. I'm sure it'll send her over the proverbial edge. We've been doing with these two wonderful offers at the same time. Marin and New York Theater Workshop and something else that might have come up. And it's just the two of us, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, can we have a GM or like a producer here? We do have one wonderful guy that's helping us with New York Theater Workshop. And I think I've assigned him to clarify Marin. Do you know?
Mhm.
What's
Mhm.
the weather in Marin in March?
March Marin is probably pretty nice. It's probably
Okay.
yeah. I think it's pretty it's pretty yeah. It's pretty nice usually. It's in Marin.
Yeah, well, but I know well, I'm a Californian, Josh. I was born
Oh,
in LA. And when I moved east, I always refer to that as a cosmic error.
uh,
And when I moved to New York, which was clearly my home, I initially thought, if you had the choice of experiencing seasons, why would you give that up? I know now why. I know
yes,
now why. No, I am done with it. I feel like one of those people, you
yes,
know?
yes, yeah.
I'm not a snowbird yet, but my grandson said, Grancy, a new snowstorm is coming. I said, I know, and you're so excited, right? He said, yeah, but you're not, right?
All right. Yeah, it gets old. It does get old, especially yeah when you as a New Yorker who's been out here,
Oh,
for
yeah.
now most of my adult life, or maybe even most of my life. I go back. He's like, my God, the weather is extreme back where I come from.
I know. What brought you out there, Josh? Berkeley or?
Well, I was yeah, I moved around. I grew up in New York, and then I was first didn't know what I was going to do, and I was a journalist at In These Times. I was a copy editor, this socialist newspaper in Chicago,
Uh-huh.
which for my parents was a great letdown because it was socialist and not communist. So it was very much made me the black sheep. With being my mother's only child is a weird position to be in. And then I was
Wow.
working in Boston at a paper called the Boston Phoenix. And then a number of my friends from there all got jobs with the San Francisco Examiner, including my best friend who was a theater critic, and he invited me out because also I had just decided, oh, I'd seen Spalding Gray, and I
All
thought, oh, I'm
right.
going to try to do this. And so he said, well, we have this really great theater scene here and stuff. And so I came out to visit, and it was like really cold in Boston when I left. And then I came, and it was, he lived in North Beach, and I went to City Lights Bookshop, and then I went to get some cappuccino, and it was like, I am moving here in 2 weeks. And
And
it's,
that's been it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, I've been here ever since San Francisco and then in Berkeley. Um,
That's a great
it's
place.
been beautiful. I think for
Yeah.
some of us East Coast people, it allows us to be functional. Like we can relax just enough out here. Like the gravity is just a
Yeah.
little bit.
Well, and I love the way you put that. So you can relax a little. And for somebody from LA, you can tense up a little bit.
Yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah. Guess
I
we all
mean,
need
it's
our
good.
adjustments, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm so excited that you're coming. It's so wonderful talking to you. I sort of can't believe it. And
Well, Josh, I'm so grateful to you because, you just threw it out there and I looked at that and I thought, I know that name, but what is this place? We can't do it. And here we are, not only doing it, but it's unbelievably helpful,
yeah. So that's just
unbelievably helpful to us.
and
So I'm
so
very grateful to you for reaching out.
thank you. It's
And it's
incredibly
nice to
gratifying to me.
we're all in this together, Josh, which is what I say when anybody comes up and says thank you for whatever. And we are all in this together. And there's so many good people. Do you know? I mean, I don't know how many people watch Kid Rock versus Bad Bunny, but I think it was quite a bit fewer.
Yeah,
And
more people watch that one.
ugliness just, I just don't think it sticks like kindness and love and beauty and art does. That's just my bias, my wish, but my deep belief, that bell hooks, James Baldwin, Bad Bunny. Yeah, love is stronger than hate. Art is stronger than dismantling everything, than ripping down things. And I take heart in the fact that am I right in this, Josh? Fascist regimes usually fall. Sometimes it takes a long time. I remember a first boyfriend of mine when the Chilean guy, what was his name, was elected, the first socialist elected
Allende.
that they, yes. Oh my God, he thought he died and gone to heaven. He was like,
Yeah.
I mean, and you know, hopefully the way power works is going to fragment now with this exposure with Epstein, which at first I'm ashamed to say I went, why are we talking about this asshole instead of democracy and climate, et cetera? But I didn't realize Noam Chomsky with Steve Tisch with these pathetic, like
Oh,
poorly raised men acting like very undeveloped 13-year-old boys. And then the women with our own internalized misogyny, saying, Dear Uncle Jeffrey. So that was that one thing. I mean,
yeah, no, like yesterday, I think maybe out of nowhere, I just turned to Sarah and I went, Chomsky,
I know,
why?
I know.
Why, why Chomsky?
Well, and I feel also, though, Mitchell, there is such a quickness here. Okay, Mitchell's found in the emails. The next thing, his bust in Ireland is gone. His scholarships, George. And I feel it's a little bit like some of the rapid responses in Me Too. There is a difference between somebody like Harvey Epstein and some guy being a jerk. There is a difference. And Botstein, it's so confusing. It's just like, oh, I didn't realize how this system works with money. That can you please give me 100 million? I mean, he saved Bard College. It's a good thing that he saved Bard College. He did extraordinary things. Do we erase that? Because he was friends with a predator, that never apologized or never,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I
I
just
don't know,
read
John.
I just read Claire Dederer's book Monsters. Uh,
Oh,
and she's really great at just sort of saying about artists, what happens if I love their art, but I find out that they are terrible or they have done terrible things. What do I
yes.
do with that? And I love that she stays with it. It's really beautiful.
Well, I always felt, um, what's his name? Oh my God. The president, Woodrow Wilson. Woodrow Wilson School of International Diplomacy. Do you remove his name because he was a Victorian, an anti-Semite, and a racist? But he also started the League of fucking Nations. So
Yeah.
why don't we put it all out there? We are complex. Nobody is perfect. And also I think the ability to own your mistakes. I mean, if Epstein had ever said, which he certainly wasn't going to, I'm ashamed, I am horrified, I have an illness, I'm addicted, I'm working on it, then I don't think he would have been pilloried forever, but that didn't happen at all. Do you know?
No,
I
there
mean,
doesn't seem to be much of that going around. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So,
Well,
well,
Josh, what are you doing with this conversation? It's very long. Are you just
oh, what's really cool for me is, so I just said, well, I'd love to talk to all the performers and do a like Zoom thing, and John said, well, great, just do them and send them to us and we'll edit them. So
great? Okay, they'll edit them. Yeah.
my job is done here. I just got to enjoy this
Okay.
conversation.
Okay. Well, I'm very anxious. I'm looking forward to being there. I'm going to try and be prepared so that I won't have to go for my rehearsal and miss all the shows and just keep working with Timmy. I remember her, Josh, when we were working on Falling Apart together, and she's sort of on her haunches in the corner at the public when we were doing a rehearsal at their place. And she said, "Do you realize we're almost 70, still working like dogs for no money?" That was a decade ago, Josh.
Yes, right. Yeah.
I'm really, one of my goals is to make Timmy a little bit of money before we depart and turn to stardust, I mean,
Yeah. I know
just
the
a little.
feeling. I know the feeling.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I
Well,
want someone. I want to have coattails for someone to ride.
I love that image. I love
Yeah,
that image. Well, I look so forward to meeting you and your wife
likewise.
and seeing her patches, and
Yeah,
I'm really looking forward. And thank you so much for Josh, did you just hear about my play or did you see a video of it?
no, I looked you up and I heard because doesn't Kathryn Grody have a, and then you did, and then it's like, is it somewhere? Is it where, So it was just, I was just sort of basically going on like sort of my dream thinking to start with, like not people I knew, but just like who would I love to see, and then yeah, and then it happened. It happened. It's happening.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for the thought. Thank you for seeing me because as you know, that's a major theme actually in this is see each other.
Well,
And anyway, Josh, I really look forward to being there.
likewise. Likewise. Thank you
Okay.
so much, Kat.